Hey guys, it's Pravus. So, I'm a dad now, as you guys can see. 3 weeks ago today, this little man came into the world and has been taking up all of my time and all of my sleep as well. So if you guys did not read the YouTube community post I made making the announcement and you've been wondering where I am, well, that's the answer. This guy has been taking up pretty much all of my time. And it's totally worth it, isn't it, little boy? In fact, I bet you the camera might like to see you. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Oh, little brow furrowed, you look so concerned. Hi. Yeah, you're awake and alert, aren't you? But you're behaving so well? Oh, what a little boy. Yeah. Now, bringing this little man into the world was quite the journey in and of itself, and by that I mean it was one heck of a struggle. So, one fine Tuesday, I go into a doctor's appointment with my wife, because at this point she's past her due date and they want to do a checkup on her. And they found that she had dangerously high blood pressure, which could be indicative of a condition called preeclampsia, which can be very dangerous for the mother and requires inducing the baby right then and there. So they sent us to the hospital. But the thing is, this is now the third time they've done that for us because she's had high blood pressure swings throughout the pregnancy, but it always comes down once we go to the hospital, so they end up sending us back home. You can imagine I'm really looking forward to those hospital bills. Yay. Anyway, but we go there and they say, look, here's the thing. You're already past your due date. Yes, your blood pressure is starting to come back down, but at this point, it makes sense to just go ahead and try to make things move along. We're going to go ahead and try to start inducing you like right now. So we're like, okay, we're checking into the hospital. This is it. Here we go. What I did not realize is that inducing can fail. So what ended up happening is we spent one full day on a new set of meds trying to induce, and absolutely no progress occurred. Then they started a new type of meds, which actually was quite painful for my wife. It caused a lot of nerve pain, and still no progress after 24 hours. So they went back to the first medicine, but doubled the dose, and like, this almost always works. And after another full day, no progress whatsoever. So at this point, for over 72 hours, they've been trying to induce, and nothing is happening. And then the doctor comes in and is like, look, we've tried everything at this point. You're way past your due date. It's time to go for a C-section. And at this point, my wife and I are like, whoa, hold on for a second. Let us process this, because we've been trying really hard not to have a C-section. We wanted to go through the full natural birth kind of process. So the doctor steps out of the room. We talk about it for a bit. We get some questions kind of put together. Doctor comes back in, starts answering it for us. And after all that, it's like, okay, hang on. I kind of see what you're going for. Because what we were thinking we might do is, against medical advice, go back home for the next 2 or 3 days and kind of hope things that would just like move along on their own. But as the doctor explained to us, the placenta, which is the organ that the woman creates that has basically your life support organ for the baby, is getting older and at some point is going to start failing because, again, you're past your due date. It's not supposed to be in there for that long. And once you have high blood pressure added into the mix, it ages at a faster rate. So it's a non-zero chance that if we went home, that the baby could actually face some potentially fatal consequences for it. Not like a high chance, but even like a 1 in 100 chance is too much at that point. And then because we'd already been trying intensive meds for the last 3 days with nothing happening, the odds of anything moving along in the next 2 days on their own, not very high, and we'd have to come back for a C-section anyway. So knowing all of that, we did agree, all right, fine, we're gonna have to go ahead and just do the C-section, but can we wait until tomorrow morning? And the doctor's like, yep, we can wait until that. And it turns out there was an operating crew outside in the hall waiting for us because they were planning on taking her right then and there. But they said, no, they want to wait for a little bit. Send everybody home. We'll come back to this in the morning. And they were honestly very, very nice and supportive. The hospital we went to had a fantastic birthing department. Great nurses, great doctors. They took very good care of us. But yeah, so Saturday morning at 9:25 a.m., this little guy was born by C-section, and I got to be in the surgical suite with my wife. Kind of nerve-wracking, not gonna lie, especially for my wife, but obviously they had some really good anesthesia meds for her. And you can't see anything that's going on. You don't see the operation. They've actually put a curtain between your heads and where the operation's taking place, so you can't see anything, because who wants that trauma? Except for when the baby is born, then they drop the curtains just enough that you can actually see them hoist the baby forward, kind of like Lion King style. Arzahenya! And you get to see the newborn screaming at you. They take care of him real quick, and then they bring him around, and you get some skin-to-skin contact with the baby and the mom. So we got to have that little bit of connection kind of early on, which is great. But then they had to take care of my wife for a couple things. So they grabbed the newborn, shoved him in my arms, and they're like, okay, Dad, take care of him for a second. So here I am, standing in the corner of the surgical suite, a new father with absolutely no idea what I'm doing, holding this writhing, shrieking, tiny, vulnerable little thing. And he actually stopped for a brief moment and started opening his eyes and looking up at me, and I get a look into his eyes, and it's like, oh, hi, you're my son. Wow. And obviously he can't see me. It's a complete blur for him, but for me, it kind of activated this real primal connection. It's really hard for me to describe. I've talked to a few other fathers, and I'm not the only one who's had this kind of moment. The best way I can describe it is, as fathers, you don't really have a strong connection with your child until the birth, right? The mother does. The mother has felt him growing, has felt him kicking, moving around. They've got that physical connection like right off the bat. You as the dad have seen that things are happening. You might even feel him kicking on occasion, but it's not really real until that moment when you get to hold this little entity and meet him for the first time in a tangible way. And it really changes your entire view of life. Right? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to take care of this little man, but I do know that my entire life now centers around him and trying to protect him from harm and teach him everything and provide for him, right? So I don't know. It's a very primal connection, but it's something special, terrifying and awe-inspiring. But it's a special connection. I'm really never going to forget that moment. That's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Anyway, so at that point we spend another couple days in the hospital, we recover and stuff, and then we get to go home, and we've been taking care of him ever since. It's been no picnic, I'll tell you that much. He has a couple of little conditions that actually makes feeding him really quite difficult. We actually didn't know he had these conditions until we got to go to the pediatrician the day after we left the hospital. So for the first 2 or 3 days, it was absolute hell, I'm not gonna lie. He was screaming and fussing so much that he would have his voice crack and he'd even start to pass out from exhaustion. We could not figure out how to calm him down, and I ended up getting about 4 hours of sleep over the course of 3 days. Total sleep. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Turns out he was starving and dehydrated, literally, because he was not getting enough food, and how are we supposed to know? We couldn't know that until later. So when we went to the pediatrician, they said, well, what you're gonna have to do then is you're gonna have to start supplementing him with formula, which I'm like, oh great, formula, the thing I was trying really hard to avoid, but if he needs calories, he needs calories. You do what you gotta do. So every time we wanna feed this little guy, it's a 2-man effort where I have to sit there with a syringe of formula and feed him like a little baby bird while he's trying to properly breastfeed in order to make sure he gets some calories. It takes about an hour to feed him. And for those of you guys who have had kids before, you know that you have to feed a newborn every 2 to 3 hours, kind of at a minimum. So literally 1/3 to half of our life is just feeding this little guy, and then you have 1 or 2 hour stretches where you pray that he goes to sleep so that you can either catch up on some sleep or catch up on some food or some chores or something else, because life is still going on without you right now and you kind of need to catch up. It's rough. It's really, really rough. But my wife and I are starting to find a rhythm, so we're kind of okay. He's actually starting to sleep through the night for the most part. That won't last, we know that, but we're enjoying it while we can. So, honestly, things are going really well, except for the whole feeding aspect. That's the only thing that's proving quite difficult. But we gotta figure out something kind of soon, because my paternity leave is coming to an end as of next week, and obviously I need to be getting back into the swing of things with YouTube, because I still have 2 jobs that I'm working, on top of taking care of this little boy right here, who, by the way, has fallen asleep. What a cutie. Hold on. Oh, hi, Gim Gim. He's a little jealous, I'm not gonna lie. There you go. Look at how handsome you are. Look at how handsome Gimli is. Hi, buddy. Anyway, yeah, when you're not screaming, you are an absolute treat. So yeah, I gotta figure this all out, and until I actually get some proper time stretches, you may find the content is gonna be sporadic, but I do plan on coming back as of next week with some content. It might be only 2 or 3 videos. That might just be the norm going forward for a while. I have no idea. Or maybe we can actually get things to stabilize and I get back to some series. What I'm saying here is I'm once again asking for some flexibility and some patience from you guys, because I am in uncharted waters. I have no idea how to make this work. I'm just gonna do my absolute best. But ultimately, as you guys can imagine, he has to come first. I've got my priorities straight. So, content coming out soon. I'm looking forward to getting back with you guys. It just may be a little different for a while, or it may be different forever. Don't know. That's just how it is. Thank you all very much for watching and the continued patience and support you guys have shown for us over the years. It has obviously been very, very much appreciated. And I will see you guys very soon. Take care.